Hey, good morning. I'm wondering how you do that body slam movement without this like microphone coming up. Maybe we can practice that later. All right. Hi, everyone. So I'm Scott Brinker. I am about halfway through my journey of trying to become the world's largest marketing and sales technology geek. I've been fascinated with this intersection between marketing and technology and how that's evolved into the intersection of revenue and sales, increasingly customer service. So I wear a few different hats. I'm the VP of Platform Ecosystem at HubSpot, helping HubSpot integrate with a bunch of the other marketing technology tools we'll take a look at. Before that, I was the co-founder and CTO of an interactive content software company called Ion Interactive. But, well, that's what I do professionally. I've been, such a geek about marketing technology for the past 10 years. I started a blog, chiefmartech.com, very obscure blog for many years. I mean, think about it. Marketing, technology, these are like opposite ends of the career spectrum. Like, together? What? And so it was in obscurity for a number of years until about 4 years ago when it just exploded. Nearly 100,000 readers to the blog at this point, and we started the MarTech conference around this, bringing this community together. And I also wrote a book, Hacking Marketing, about this intersection, this interplay, this bizarre interplay between the professions of technologists and engineers and marketers and salespeople. So I apparently had a lot of time on my hands at one point because I started a journey a few years ago of trying to track all of the different marketing and sales technologies out there. There's quite a few. This is from 2016. When I put this one together, I'd found nearly 3,800 marketing technology vendors. By the way, anyone in sales who wants to get really good experience, go to work for a marketing technology company because, man, if you can sell against this competitive field, you can sell against anything. So when I came out with this one a couple years ago, 3,800 technologies, I mean, let's face it, most people's reaction was, are you kidding me? And so some of the headlines that came out after that was, all right, well, this is an aberration. This is not going to continue. So, VentureBeat had this very insightful thing on, okay, well, shrinking financial markets are going to drive consolidation in MarTech. I had an article that came out where they claimed actually consolidation is rampant in the 2016 marketing technology landscape. I had to look up the word rampant because I thought it meant something a little bit different, but well, 2017 comes around, and let's just say consolidation was not as rampant as predicted. We actually renamed this graphic to be the MarTech 5000. You can take a random guess as to why. Nearly 5,300 different solutions from like nearly 4,900 unique different vendors. And while there had certainly been consolidation and churn, the truth was it was less than 5% of the companies that had churned from the 2016 map to the 2017 map. Now don't get me wrong, actually that's still a pretty high churn rate, but just the amount of innovation that keeps coming into this space is still outpacing the rate at which consolidation is happening. Of course, as soon as this one came out, like the very next week, article was like, oh, why MarTech consolidation is closer than you think. Well, it's probably closer than I think. So I won't give it away. We are working on the 2018 version. But if we take this trend line, since the very first time I started charting this, this is why I like to call a brief history of marketing technology consolidation. Let's just say the trend line doesn't look like it's going to reverse in 2018. Now, some really weird things have happened. This is such a strange graphic, and I suspect a number of you have seen it. It tends to make its way around, which, again, kind of surprises me. It really is a very, very geeky thing. But I've seen things now that are even more geeky. Like after this one came out, some folks at Canada decided to come out with their version of the Canadian marketing technology landscape. So that we could see just companies that were headquartered, founded in Canada. And I'm very proud of this, like around 300. Okay, so not to be outdone, shortly after that, the folks from Finland sent in a version of this. All right, here's the Finnish marketing technology landscape with nearly 100 some odd vendors. So when people say marketing technology growth is finished, I say, no, it's Finnish. Oh, sorry, all right. Only get one more of those before the fruit comes out, I know. I mean, I didn't really expect marketing technology to become some sort of Olympic sport. I hear the Norwegian one is in progress, and it's just going to totally beat these others. So I really need to come here to help deal with that craziness. But if you'll indulge me for just a minute, I want to share with you some of the ways I amuse myself as I'm putting together this landscape, because it's a little bit tedious, right? 5,000 logos positioned just right. And so one of the ways I amuse myself is, as I'm going through these categories and I'm looking at how different companies, I go to the website of literally every single one of these companies. As I said, I'm a very big marketing technology geek. We take email marketing, nearly 200 different vendors offering email solutions there, just a few choices. But I love finding companies that stand out by their choice of name, right? Like this email vendor, Bull Sender. I'm like, finally an email marketing vendor that gets the content that marketing wants to send out. Perfect, I love it. A CRM, right? Another very large category. So you're a new vendor, right? And you're trying to stand out in CRM. And you're like, can we put something in our name that really just, speaks to the pain that people have with CRM? And so sure enough, there's Less Annoying CRM. What a great name. And actually these guys, I was just at G2 Crowd a little while ago, they're actually growing. This is good. Less Annoying CRM. My background was I spent a lot of time working in the conversion optimization space. Again, another very large category, nearly 200 different vendors. And so my favorite one that I came across this last time was 3-Minute Optimizer. I mean, think about this. The sales calls are so easy. How long is it going to take me to optimize my landing page? 3 minutes. Okay, cool. I mean, that's a clear value proposition. I do worry a bit about them strategically, that they've sort of set themselves up to be one-upped by 2-Minute Optimizer. We know that's coming. So anyways, I could easily fill up a half hour. There's lots of amusing things here. But let's go on to what is actually happening here and how it's actually a really good thing for everyone in revenue. So the first myth to dispel is this is not unique to marketing and sales. Mary Meeker every year does her Internet Trends Report. This past year, she had one of these slides focused on the number of cloud apps, software as a service subscriptions that the average enterprise subscribes to. And it's mind-boggling. I mean, they broke them down by different industries, but what it largely averages out to is around 1,000. The average enterprise has around 1,000 marketing cloud subscriptions. Now, she broke out the different categories in which we see all these software subscriptions appearing. And, as you might have guessed, marketing is the top. In fact, actually, if you pull together, she broke out categories for marketing, for CRM sales, for social. You could kind of lump a bunch of these all together under revenue operations. And yeah, it is a pretty big collection, on average several hundred per company, per enterprise. What was interesting to me here, though, was that wasn't all of it. Still, you add up all these others. It's like HR. On average, 90 different software cloud subscriptions. Finance and accounting, on average, 60. Right? This is an explosion. In fact, actually, I was curious if I had doppelgangers out there who had the same obsession with little logos on pages. And it turns out there are a lot of us. We're going to start a self-help group soon. But you can do a search for the HR tech landscape, and find all these collections of tools that are available. Finance and accounting. Yes, finance and accounting. This is actually only half of the finance and accounting landscape. It goes on for twice as much. And I think this is, by the way, a great slide to bookmark. That way, when someone from accounting comes and says, you know, we think you guys in the revenue side are subscribing to too many cloud services, you're like, really? Let's count. Trust me, that'll come in handy. Terry Kawaja, who's kind of like the godfather of these market technology landscapes, did one of the first ones years ago around ad tech. And actually recently came out with one for just sales tech. You know, so if you really want to dive into some of the different categories that are exploding here, again, I think this is actually underrepresenting the number of technologies out there, but it gives you a sense of the variety of categories across pre-sales, sales, post-sale, how they're all working together, and how you have all these specialists in these different categories that are really the best in class at what they do. Now, I love this as Revenue Summit because this boundary between marketing and sales was always a bit dysfunctional, but in today's environment where so many of these touch points are happening through digital channels, you know, and even the ones that we're having, you know, through human connections are supported by all this data, supported by all this digital capability, that the line between marketing and sales for most customers is really hard to distinguish. It should be hard to distinguish. So one of the things I'd seen, sorry, I'm just going to hit you with a whole bunch of slides that have completely unreadable tiny little logos. It's my MO, I apologize. One of the things I do with the MarTech conference every year is I run a contest where I invite marketers to send in a single slide that illustrates how they think of their marketing tech stack, how they think of all the different tools that they use, where they fit together. I mean, it's not just about putting the little logos of, oh, we use Eloqua, we use Marketo. It's how do we think about applying these to the customer journey? How do we think about them for the way we operate our business? And all of these are shared publicly, so if you Google MarTech Stackies, there's like 120 of them right now. I want to show you a few. This is one sent in last year by the folks at Microsoft to give you an example of how they think about this. And to me, why this really emphasizes this blending of marketing and sales and revenue. So what you're seeing here is kind of a customer journey. You know, starting you know, on the left here with more of a, you know, pre-sales marketing. You know, at some point here, after you cross over the macro line, right, we get into how sales is then engaging with technology on it, you know, and then once sales is completed, you know, we get into in-product marketing, customer advocacy, the cycle begins again. I love the fact that they conceive this as one collective journey, that it wasn't just, oh yeah, here's what we do in marketing, have no idea what those folks in sales are doing with it, right? They're thinking about this as a continuous journey. An interesting thing to take away here too, these different shades, the light blue to the dark blue, actually have some very powerful meaning. You know, as you start to get more and more tools that you're working with, not all tools are equal. Not all tools are equal in your organization. And so one of the things they've done is map their tools using something that Gartner developed a while ago called a pace layering model, which basically is breaking up your tools into 3 different categories that you manage. The systems of record, which is this light blue, which is really focused on what are the core data records we're tracking, right? CRM is usually, you know, the foundational element of this. And the thing that you want with a system of record more than anything else is stability. You don't want to be ripping that out every 6 months. The blue in the middle here that gets a little bit darker is what they call systems of differentiation. And these are things, because everybody has a CRM, right? Systems of record generally do not provide any competitive advantage for you. Systems of differentiation are how do we start to layer on technology on top of those systems that are unique to the value proposition, to the customer experience that we deliver for our business. These are the really strategic choices in MarTech and sales tech. And then the dark blue, I love this, is what they call systems of innovation, which is this idea that, hey, so many new technologies are coming out at such a rapid rate, you know, that we need to have some sort of experimentation capability in our organization. We need to have the ability to try some of these new tools. And the way we want to try them is very different than how we treat the big decisions for systems of record, right? You know, we want to be a very lightweight process, very much focused on pilot programs and things like that. And you can see with Microsoft, they're sharing the examples of some of the things they've been experimenting with. I put a few of these in the deck, and you can get a full copy of these slides. This is one that Cisco sent in. Again, same thing here. What's actually happening around this circle here is you'll see customer, partner, their channel partners, you know, and then sellers interacting directly with customers. Again, I love the fact they've thought about this as a collective marketing and sales stack. They have something like 37 different tools here, and you know, again, I think some people's reaction when they see that is, that's ridiculous. Cisco does not need 37 different marketing and sales tools. The Mary Meeker report would suggest otherwise, but actually, the thing is, I've gone through and I've looked at every single tool they used in this stack, and there's not a lot of overlap. And actually, each of these tools serves a very specific purpose. This isn't people chasing shiny object syndrome. These are folks thinking very carefully about how do we craft strategic capabilities in marketing and sales through technology. It's not just tech companies. If you go through the stackies, Red Wing Shoes has a fantastic marketing stack. I'm about to show you two slides that nobody has ever seen, except for the people who made them, because we're actually running the 2018 contest for the stackies, and we've started to get the entries. And so a couple that I found just before I was coming here was the folks at Morningstar, right? You know, a non-tech company, thinking about, again, you'll have to get the deck here to really be able to read all this, but again, what they've done is they've mapped the way they use their different categories of tools, how they fit together, and they've mapped it across marketing and sales as one continuous customer experience. This theme keeps coming up again and again and again. This is the revenue ops way of looking at the world. I started with tech companies, so I figured I should close with a tech company too. Juniper Networks also recently sent in their stack. And again, just a fascinating way of looking at how they see pre-sales marketing through post-sales marketing. You know, sort of the middle here is where those waters are mingling, which is great. It shouldn't be that, you know, marketers have one set of tools and salespeople have a different set of tools. There are some specializations, but there should be increasingly more and more overlap. Now, how are companies making all this shit work, right? I mean, these are a lot of different tools to get all connected. Well, there's two ways. One is a lot of the tool vendors are getting much better at supporting integrations with each other. In fact, this is what I'm doing at HubSpot, is helping HubSpot with integrations with these other tools. But there's actually a whole category of technology that's come out called integration platform as a service. Things like Zapier is like maybe one of the canonical examples of this. They're these really simple tools that they integrate with a bunch of the other tools, and so when you buy the iPass, it gives you this nice, friendly, non-IT interface for saying, oh yeah, I want to take data from here and I want to route it over here, and when this trigger event happens here, I want to, you know, trigger these two other activities over there. This is the sort of stuff that revenue operations professionals are having a ball with. It basically makes it possible for them to do all sorts of custom workflow across all of these different tools. And this is just the world we live in. You know, there will be consolidation in MarTech, and there'll be new innovations in MarTech, and I don't know what the exact number of vendors over the next 5 years will be, but I know it's going to be a lot. Because we've moved from a world where, right, you know, software used to be these big monolithic things. You know, first on mainframes, and then in the days of client server, and even in the first generation of the web, right? We had the, you know, these enterprise major systems that were the heart of everything. But today's world, again, going to Mary Meeker's report, what you've got is just this incredibly flexible fabric of all these different cloud tools that are now being dynamically orchestrated together. And nobody's in a position to benefit from this better than sales and marketing. Excuse me. I'm going to grab a little bit of water. You know, going Scrolling through logos makes me parched. The reason why this is happening, I can boil it down to one main thing. This is a report from the folks at PointSource last year. The average duration for a technical initiative between the business requesting it to it actually being deployed. Hey, I need X to be competitive. You know, and it's crazy that even last year, okay, 1/5 are saying, yeah, we can go from idea to deployment in less than 6 months. For a lot of companies, though, they're still back in this old IT mode of like, all right, we can get that for you, and we'll spec this out, and we'll put in the queue, and maybe in about 18 months you'll get it. I mean, heck, apparently, like, on the revenue side, people are changing jobs every week. The person requested it left, went somewhere else. I mean, we just can't live in a world where we have those 2-year time horizons to bringing this technology to life. And this is the real power of using cloud, using iPaaS, is to get that speed that flexible fabric gives us. All right, so one little section I want to wrap up with here is because they included AI in the title of my talk, because you can't have a talk about marketing technology now without AI somewhere in the title. Just saw this report about overhyped marketing buzzwords. It's good to know that AI won out. It had some stiff competition though, right? Big data, omni-channel, real-time marketing, personalization. I don't want to suggest that it's possible there's a sponsor somewhere here at Revenue Summit who has AI using big data for omni-channel, real-time marketing, personalization, but it's plausible. There might be. Just keep an eye out for it. I mean, everyone's talking about AI. The number one question with AI is, will robots take my job? And so actually you can type in willrobotstakemyjob.com. And someone's put together, right, a machine learning, I'll walk you through the marketing one. You can do the sales manager later. It's great fun. Party tricks here. All right, so you type in marketing and you select marketing manager. And it crunches all these different numbers, and it comes up and it says, oh, well, there's really actually only a 1.4% chance that robots are going to take your job, marketing manager, right? You're totally safe, it assures you. There's going to be growth, you're making good money, lots of people employed by this. And so, being in marketing myself, I'm like, wow, that's a relief. I started thinking like, wait a second, this is a machine learning program that's generating this answer? Just how smart is it? No, don't worry about me. I'm just here to help. Your job is totally safe. No threat to you whatsoever. Let's keep an eye on this. All right, but the truth is, actually AI is already here. I can tell you, working on the 2018 marketing technology landscape, I have not created a category for AI. And the reason why is AI is being embedded, mostly through machine learning, in almost every category across that landscape. This guy, Robert Allen, has a great post on LinkedIn, 15 applications of AI in marketing. He actually walks through all of the different scenarios where AI is already being embedded. It's everything from like, ad targeting to predictive analytics to the way we're doing lead scoring in so many products. Half the time, you don't even know that it's AI. And that's great, you shouldn't. It's about the actual result that it's delivering. One of the areas where an incredible amount of AI technology has been embedded, and we don't even really think about it as AI much anymore, is this chatbot revolution. I know there's going to be a whole session just on chatbots from the folks over at Intercom. Definitely should go see that. I mean, this is a fascinating space. And we see it with, of course, now almost on every website it's become ubiquitous, the, chatbot offering to help. Almost always, somehow, they find the way to layer it on the one spot on the screen that I wanted to read something else, but we're going to work on that. But it's not just website chatbots. Part of this is being driven by the explosion of messaging platforms, things like Facebook Messenger. The technology for bots on Facebook Messenger has just been growing incredibly over the past couple years. All sorts of exciting, mobile commerce capabilities built in. You know, obviously this isn't just Facebook. Google is doing phenomenal work with this for Google Assistant. You know, Apple's announced its, you know, business chat capabilities. Speaking of business, right, in B2B, we're now seeing Slack. You know, so many people using Slack, bots proliferating throughout that. And so, I mean, actually, again, there's a landscape for everything out there, I found out. You know, pick your tech, and there's a landscape for it. So there's a landscape just for chatbot technologies. And it's fascinating to see all of the different ways this is being embedded. Now, I want to show you behind the scenes for a moment. And this is an illustration from Chatbots Magazine, because, of course, there's a Chatbots Magazine. And you can see, right? I mean, we think about, you know, the bot is primarily through the messaging platform. Like, oh, I've got this bot on Facebook Messenger. Or, yeah, I've got this bot that's popped up on the website. And for a lot of us in sales and marketing, you know, we'll think a bit about the logic of what we want to offer people through this, how we want to decide things like what's going to be automatically handled by the bot, when is it going to hand things off to a human, how does it manage and negotiate that handoff to make it as smooth as possible, give a great customer experience. But behind the scenes, the amount of technology that's driving that, that's largely invisible to us. I mean, all the natural language processing capabilities in the bot are now largely being driven by either open source or cloud-based infrastructure that's incredibly cheap. We're using machine learning for a lot of the bot logic for matching answers to people's questions. And the thing about that is, right, there's no competitive differentiation on the NLP side, the natural language side, or the machine learning capability. Where the competitive differentiation becomes in one bot versus another is a little bit of how you control the bot logic, but a lot about the information sources and the actions that you are able to enable in that bot specific to your business. That the war for AI is ultimately a war around data. If you have data that your competitors do not, if your data is higher quality than your competitors, the ability to feed that data into these largely commoditized machine learning algorithms is where you get your edge. And we see this now. I mean, I took a random sample, you know, of companies, you know, a little bit more focused on the sales side that have embedded this sort of machine logic capability, you know, from pipeline relationship analytics, you know, cool stuff like Cogito, where, you know, it's actually analyzing conversations in real time to give you hints as to the emotional state of the person on the other end of the conversation. A lot of really cool stuff happening here around meeting analysis. In fact, I think one of the sponsors here, too, which I rudely did not include on this slide, has some amazing technology for this, too. I mean, it's everywhere. And so again, it's gotten to the point where actually very rapidly saying AI doesn't mean anything. It is that buzzword. What matters is, okay, what is the capability you're going to give me, and how effective is it for my business? And some of this, I mean, a lot of it, it comes back to this thing about the data. You know, it's one thing to analyze conversations, but if you're now trying to map this to how the conversation signals relate to the lifetime value of particular customers or prospects who look like those customers, the accuracy and the completeness of the data that you have on those customers and prospects makes all the difference. Because these machine learning algorithms, it's funny, it's artificial intelligence. It's actually not that intelligent. Most AI is just statistics. It's running statistical algorithms to say what are the patterns between these sets of data and a certain set of outcomes that we're looking for. And so it all comes down to getting that right data. Probably where less annoying CRM would come in handy. But one last thought I want to leave you with. I'm sure all of you have seen at various points in time the curve below all my orange notes here, the Gartner hype curve, right? We're used to this pattern. I mean, it's a brilliant insight, right? So many technologies follow this pattern where, they start out as a little seed and then they just ramp up this hype of all these amazing possibilities. And then people realize, oh crap, it doesn't actually do that. And then it slides down into this trough of disillusionment. And then slowly over time, it creeps up and we find these really practical applications. Man, if you're working in revenue ops, this is your world. It's like an ever-ending, a collection of hype curves, one after another. Excuse me. So the thing I want to leave you with is this idea that every hype curve is an opportunity for smart people in revenue ops to basically go against the market. When things are overhyped, you don't want to buy into the hype. On the other hand, you don't actually want to ignore it either. It's very easy to say, oh, well, that's all hype. I'm just not going to touch it. Almost all of these things, there's actual fire below that smoke. And so just having moderate expectations of saying, we should start to experiment with this, we should see what's possible, we should learn from it, is a way of being smart when a lot of your competitors are either betting too much or just not at all. And then vice versa, particularly if you get those early learnings going. When the technology crashes down into the trough of disillusionment, and people are like, oh, okay, well, I'm not buying any AI crap, I don't need any of that. They'd be like, actually, it's not the promised land, but here's some really useful scenarios that are working for us. You can overspend compared to those who have become too gun-shy. These are incredible opportunities, and thanks to this sequence of one hype curve after another, you have a tremendous number of them in front of you. So thank you so much for having me. I'll be around this morning. Happy to chat with you.